Orange Grove, not too bad volume, but from there towards Paja, you've got traffic. Paja Road itself is a bit heavy this morning. Going through McCoy also got some traffic. Eastern Main is not too bad as you head into Port of Spain. All right, building out in Maraval for those leaving Santa Cruz and coming down, you got some traffic there on the saddle. Taking a look down San Fernando as we make our way up north. I got nothing really to tell you about in San Fernando. You are going to get some traffic by Chase Village towards Sugargonas and then Charlieville towards the interchange and Clara as you pass Elscoro until you get just after Swim Call. All right, let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. First off the gate, yeah, we got Kenny. Good morning, everyone. Godzillion Valencia, good morning. Reno Halasi, DJ Ray out in Delaware, good morning. Dennis, Oliver Man Warren, D. Pierre, Miss Ingrid, Carol Guevara, Maria Marva, Rena Boodoo Jennings, good morning to you all. What's the temperature in Trinidad and Tobago currently? It is a warm 25 degrees on both islands. It is a warm one, all right? What's the weather going to be like for today? Fair to partly cloudy and breezy at times with a brief isolated shower. There's a low, they're saying 10 to 20% chance of the isolated afternoon heavy shower, favoring but not confined to South Trinidad. A relatively mild concentration of Sahara dust is present in our atmosphere. That's from the Met Office. And I just want to let you know that today's moon phase is the warning crescent phase. All right. The moon is 26.1 days old and it's lit 13.5%. All right. That's what they're saying. Checking some temps across our listenership. Let's say good morning going out to Ray Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning to you. It is 11 degrees and sunny in Toronto, 23 in Miami, 21 Orlando, 14 and sunny in New York. Atlanta, you're 20 with a little bit of cloud. London, sunny and 15. There you go, Linda. 22 in Tampa. Washington, D.C., you're sitting at 15 degrees. All right, so there you go. Let's say good morning going out to Paul Richards. Morning, friend.
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone. Morning. How are you,
Morning.
Steve?
Not bad, not bad at all. It is the start of a brand new day. Lots to get done today.
Yep, Tuesday already.
Yeah.
This year is flying quite quickly, I find.
You know, I was saying the same thing. It's just zooming by. We're in the fifth month already.
But tell
Hurricane
you something.
season starts in 2 weeks.
I have
Official
something that I
hurricane.
know you can relate to.
Yeah. Hurricane season. Yeah, boy. Watching that.
I
Hurricane's gonna come.
I went last night on JetBlue's app,
Mm-hmm.
sitting for flights in October.
Mm-hmm.
Booking already pays. Guess how much I paid for a flight in October?
Oh, you booked it already? Hold
Yeah,
on.
when I
Don't.
saw the price, I booked it.
Um.
Round trip to
Round.
JFK and back. Guess how much I paid? Booking early pays.
Um. 3,000 TT dollars.
$278.
Return?
Return.
You kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
But
I pull out my calculator on my phone. 200 and
yeah,
what is that?
$278.
278 multiplied by 6 point. I'm going to 6.8.
The man, that's the basic. I'll have to pay
1,900
for luggage.
bucks?
I'll have to pay 35 US
Yeah,
for the
for your
suitcase. But that's
bag.
fine. But I mean, at that price, come on, we're talking about airline ticket costs yesterday and last week.
Mm-hmm.
$278. No, but
One
there are
time.
stipulations with that, non-transferable. You have to travel on the day. If you have if you can't use the ticket, it becomes void. That sort of those sort of stipulations in that price. But I don't care.
No. Let me.
Watch you. You're
Yeah.
going
You know,
private.
on Google Flights already.
Yeah. Early October.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just picking a date. I'm using
I,
Friday, 13th October 21st. Let's see. Cal is $3,000. Where's the JetBlue? Not seeing JetBlue. Yeah, Cal is $3,000
well, that's not bad for Cali.
to New York. It's always pays to fly off peak times.
Well, it's not off peak. The earlier you book, the better deals you get.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you
And
book months in advance, you get way better deals. If you try to book a month before you're looking to travel, it's not going to make any sense. You're going to have to pay almost full fare.
yeah, no kidding. In
When I was
fact,
coming back, I met a really cool Jamaican guy at JetBlue's counter in JFK,
hmm
and he very pleasant guy. You could tell he was from Jamaica originally, living in the US now.
hmm
And he gave me the they call it that seat by the emergency window that they usually have to pay for.
yeah, is that the
The
one
extra
with
leg
the huge
room.
leg room?
He upgraded me to that
Yeah,
for free.
ay, ay, ay.
And he put on an extra bag for free. He was really a cool guy.
Really?
And where you are from? I said Trinidad. Yeah, man. All right. Caribbean got to stick together. Fix up.
There you go. Yeah, I remember one
Mm-hmm.
time on my last cruise. I can't remember where we went. I think it was Haiti, and they had a really nice cooler bag. You get it for free if you buy 6 beers. And the guys were Jamaican. I get 9 beers, man. I said, yes, I like
And on
it.
the other hand, I remember about 3 years ago, I met this Jamaican lady at the gate, and I had two bags. Is it 50 kilograms? That's the limit.
Uh, no, it's
Or
50 pounds.
50 pounds, right?
It'd be like,
And I had one bag was 52 pounds, and the other bag was 42 pounds. I know she made me take all the stuff from the
yeah,
bag.
yeah. I had to
I said,
drag.
really, ma'am? I said, really?
Yeah,
I said, the other bag is 42 pounds.
yeah.
I said, I have
You
eight
see,
extra pounds allowed for me. No,
apart,
you got to take out the bag. I said, okay,
yeah.
ma'am.
The thing is, apart from the pilot, the captain knowing the weight of the aircraft, the baggage handlers are expecting 50 pounds. So
But
anything more than that is for the
2 pounds,
ground crew, really. Yeah, for
or
two
2 pounds,
pounds.
right?
For
Yeah,
two
two
pounds.
pounds. Two
I had to
pounds.
do that already. Take out. I think it was. I think it
Two
was like.
pounds.
I think it was
It was
2 pounds.
$3. It ended up being $3.
Oh boy. Yeah. But I'll let you
And
know
then when
that
I went by the
if
gate, I made another one. You know when you forget the amount of cream in the thing that the size of the cream. She said you gotta leave that here, and I said no problem. I'll take it home. But I dump potatoes. But here, that's mean. I said because you want to take it home now. I said you want to take it home.
yeah,
I said no, you want to take it home. And I'm happy with that. That's
yeah.
been.
I don't take the only thing I take is the small tubes of toothpaste, and that's
But
it.
sometimes you forget.
Sometimes you forget. Sometimes I've forgotten water already in my
She
hand.
said that's mean. I said why is it mean though?
Yeah.
So I'm following the rules. So I'm making sure that it's not anything,
Yeah. The best
contraband. I'm dumping
is,
it in the dustbin for you. Yeah, you could have left it for someone. I said, someone like who?
like myself, that's what she's saying.
I said, no.
Expedia analyzed millions of flights and airfare data and found that booking a flight on a Sunday could save you up to 15% on your total airfare.
And
Uh,
Tuesday night.
the
Tuesday into
data
Wednesday
show
night.
that booking on a Sunday versus a Friday yield 5% cheaper rates, 15% savings on international flights. They said
I was
don't
happy with
buy
that last
tickets
night.
on a Friday. Friday is
Or
notorious for
or
last
simply
minute travel.
changing the date that you're leaving on the day
Mhm.
of the week and coming back on. Like when you try to come back on a Sunday or a Saturday, it's a lot more expensive because the flights are usually booked up.
Well, I'll tell you what they're
Come back on
saying
a
here as well.
Tuesday, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, fly on a Wednesday, according to
And flying
Expedia
on
study.
Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah, scheduled your departing flight on a Wednesday versus a Sunday or Monday
Mm-hmm.
could save 15%, sorry, 10% on
You
international
gotta
flights.
learn the tricks. Gotta
Yeah,
learn the tricks of air travel.
booking at least 6 months in advance for international flights could save you 10% versus those who book
You
for
also have to
2 months.
$278.
Travel during off-peak dates. Be flexible with your dates.
Well,
Maybe
outside of summer and Christmas. All
Yeah.
dates are peak dates. From the week 2 weeks before Christmas
Mm-hmm.
to the middle of, the start of July into the end, the first week in September, they are considered peak times. So you have to learn travel tricks.
You have to learn the tricks. You have to learn the
Mhm.
tricks. And if you use Google Flight, there's a graph. So let's say you have a 2 week span before you book. You actually use a graph, and you'll get alerts if the price goes down.
Well, there are people who have to worry about ticket prices apparently,
No, there are people that don't have to worry about it.
because Mr. Brian Quaitong Etal will now have to repay the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago almost $1 billion, $131.3 million US. There's that kind of money in Trinidad. There's that kind of money in Trinidad, Steve.
Yeah, when
$500 million TT to pay by the government.
when
Wow.
people drive houses, yes.
Wow. They actually have that kind of money, but that the judgment could be that thing you have to pay back. Wow,
Yeah,
people make real money to real rich people in this country, but let me tell you.
yeah. You see so many houses.
Yeah, but $1 billion? You know, see people back almost $1 billion. I mean, it's between two people, but to pull out $500 million from your account, you had that in the first place? Things that make you go, Wow, we in the wrong job, boy.
Yeah, we're doing something wrong.
So we really have $500 million to provide the government each, and not sneeze. Papa, you. So the government claimed victory in the Piarco civil matter
Yeah, I've not been
when the
following
judgment
that
went in
really.
his favor. Judge Wendell Diaz delivered the final judgment in favor of Trinidad and Tobago. Well, they won the case weeks ago. This was the judgment, $131.3 million US. Minister Faris Al-Rawi made the announcement, $9 million US a year for 20 years. But 18 years. Is it 18 or 20 years? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine?
It's less than $1 million a month.
What?
People just pay that in rent, you know.
How is less than $1 million? Yeah, that's less than $1 million a month.
Yeah, less than $1
But
million.
still,
Still,
that is a huge amount of money. Well, to me and you, I guess. Just for other people, that is like, whatever.
well,
Take it out
majority of the country, there's a huge amount of money.
take it out of the pocket change account. Take it out of the, but I want to ask the question this morning. Is do you think, in light of the judgment, the government of Trinidad and Tobago will actually receive that money?
No.
That's the next question. The court has ruled. Now but I guess they could seize assets and freeze accounts to get back the money because of a final court judgment. They know where to go after this. But do you think that Trinidad and Tobago will actually get back all that money? Yes or no? That could be a question this morning.
Yeah, that could be our question this morning.
Because judgment is one thing. Actually getting back the money is something else. And then going back into the consolidated fund for use by the people of Trinidad and Tobago is something completely different. So, amazing victory. I'm glad they pursued it. Clearly, we all knew that, what's the name? Gutierrez and Burke Hillman, sting like two birdies, served the time and were out years ago. And our part of the case still going on. Well, the civil part anyway, the part in Trinidad and Tobago, is that the one that the DPP had discontinued? Or is it something else? So many things are floating around in the ethos. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, Minister Ragobarsingh also said that the date for local government election may come as early as next week, Thursday, depending on the ruling of the Privy Council law lords. Last November, the High Court Justices Jacqueline Wilson rejected a legal action by Ravi Balgobin Maharaj, claiming that Al-Rawi, by extension, the government's announcement of the year extension for the term of regional corporation aldermen and councillors. The appeal court in TNT, where Justices Prakash Mosai, Gillian Lucky, she messaged me yesterday, I'll tell you later on, Steve, coming up soon. James Aboud rejected Balgobin Maharaj's cause. The Privy Council heard the case on March 15th, and next Thursday, we will have the Privy Council ruling in that situation, after which I guess it'll be open for the government through minister, or I guess through the prime minister to announce local government. Usually, prime minister announces election dates. So we will see how that goes.
Yeah.
You know, never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah. So we will see how that goes in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's time for local government elections, and I'm never an advocate of not having elections postponed in any way. No matter how much you try to spin it, it's still a postponement.
Yeah, just push it back.
An extension is a postponement.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it's not, and elections should be held when elections
It's
are
you.
constitutionally due. Everybody got an excuse to push back an election or this and that and the other.
Yeah, but
We'll
I've
see
been
how it
dealing.
goes.
I've been
What
dealing
else? I
with
saw
two
another
corporations.
commentation.
I've been dealing with two corporations in recent times, and I'm hearing the same story from both corporations that they have no money, and that the
Well,
San Juan
that has been a cry
corporation,
for the last year and a half, 2
year and
years.
a half is like the last 20
They
years.
basically have
They have
money
no
to pay
money.
with current expenditure. They just basically have money to pay for salaries and basic stuff. They really have no money. But I guess
Yeah.
that's what the local government reform bill is about, where they be able to collect money and use money in the particular constituency.
Yeah.
That I think that's the intention of the reform. A home invasion in Penal again. 2 bandits armed with cutlasses. This is from IzoMedia.com. A gun, a cutlass, and a baton invaded a home yesterday, Monday, May 15th. The bandits violently beat 2 male victims with the baton and the gun and demanded cash from the homeowners. The incident occurred around 1:45 a.m. in
Look
DB.
when.
Imagine you're sleeping and they break in your house, they beat you up, and they steal your money.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God they left them alive, because you got to be grateful that they leave you alive these days. You understand? I just think I would like to know if there's a statistical increase in home invasions in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, clearly we're hearing
But
about
I don't know.
the
I would have
public
to
is
see.
hearing
I
about
would
it.
have. I would have to say, we're hearing more about it in the media, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's a statistical increase. They could have been happening, and we're not hearing about it over a comparative period.
Yeah, it was anyway. We'll talk to Pastor Dotton about that.
Did you see?
I'm reading here. A friend of mine now sent me off a businesswoman in, where is it? Point Fortin was killed. She would have celebrated her 44th birthday today.
Really, that's very unfortunate. I'm very sorry
Yeah,
to hear that.
Sabrina Thomas, a mother of 3, was gunned down in cold blood on Monday, 13th February 2023, outside of home. Okay, this is the story here. So it's an old story, but some light is coming towards it. Hopefully TTPS take up this, yes, because we always hear about the investigating, but we never hear the outcomes. Cold case. Oh, okay.
A disturbing bit of news has come to hand
Oh no.
regarding to the attention of the Children's Authority, where girls who are domiciled at children's homes are pregnant. There are 2 children's homes specifically designated for pregnant teens. Now, how girls, we know how, but
That's only 18, right?
yeah, because when they turn 18, they have to leave the homes, as far as I know. And it's not the first time. Girls who become pregnant while they're residents of the homes. Now we know kids sneak out.
Yeah.
And Boy is sneaking. I'm just hoping it's not the male authority figures at the homes impregnating these girls. I'm saying I'm hoping because I don't know. Right? And in some cases, in a real world sense, girls sneak out, meet boys, have sex, get pregnant. In either scenario, I think better oversight is needed. Because a girl should not be in a home. A girl is in a home, ends up in a home because either the family can't take care of her, she's homeless, she's giving trouble, and the family can't manage her properly. She has no family, or she's been abandoned, or she's been orphaned. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. In any case, she is in a vulnerable state. To end up in a children's home, it means that you're in a particularly vulnerable state. So you need extra supervision and extra guidance. So for you to be getting pregnant while you're in the home adds to your issues in life. So it's either they're sneaking out, which means oversight is poor and supervision is poor, or boy is sneaking in, which means supervision is poor and oversight is poor, or male members of staff are having sex with these girls, which is even more horrendous, and impregnating them. Is one of the three scenarios because they can't impregnate themselves. You understand? That is a very, very disturbing development. Very disturbing. So the Children's Authority apparently is looking into it. But it's not a new scenario. And the authority said over the past 8 years since the operationalization of the authority, there have been 2 instances of girls who became pregnant. That is a very low estimation.
8 years is
During the authority's investigation, it was determined no staff member at the homes was responsible for the girls becoming pregnant. Okay, so that's clarified. As is customary, the matters are reported to police who are conducting investigations. The authority wishes to remind the public that the organization does not manage the operations of the homes, but you're supposed to provide oversight for the homes.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
Right? The management of the homes is conducted by the board of each residential facility. The authority, however, through its licensing and monitoring department, is responsible for conducting regular announced and unannounced monitoring visits at the homes to ensure they provide safety and security and for the welfare of the children in their care. So,
wow,
that's a disturbing development. I hope they can get to the bottom of that. I don't know, just very disturbing. Issues related to children need to be expedited in Trinidad and Tobago. And we had the Judith Jones report and the other report about the abuses at homes and residential facilities over the last couple of years, which unearthed very, very disturbing information. And I am not sure that all the issues have been rectified adequately, is what I would say. Why my camera not moving this morning?
Okay. Yeah, you didn't bring the camera for me yesterday. I was to tell you that.
I was never supposed to bring a camera for you.
I thought you were getting one for Richard, Wendell, and myself.
Yeah, you keep dreaming.
We had to wait till October now.
Well, you could wait till October.
We'll wait.
Or you could buy one for yourself. No, that might be more productive.
Yeah, we'll wait till October.
Okay, all right. So what we're going to do is open the phones and tell us what you think about the near $1 billion award, near $1 billion award by the court in Miami in the civil case against, I think it's Mr. Quaitang and Mr. Ragobarsingh. I'm not sure, but I think if my memory serves me correct, someone could send me a message. I don't want to be putting the people's name out there and it's inaccurate, but if my memory is working this morning, and I think it is.
Mine's not.
They may be the ones who are the subject of that litigation and the judgment which came down yesterday in the Miami court by Judge Rimberto Diaz, $131.3 million US dollars, near 1 billion TT dollars, 9 million US dollars interest per annum on a yearly basis. So that You could say that's a victory.
Hmm.
That is definitely a victory. You cannot call that a victory. You understand?
So
I saw a lot of.
let's
I
grab
saw a
some of
lot
your
of.
calls at 222-8255 in North Americans, 866-525-1099.
I saw quite a bit of chatter yesterday about on both sides of the divide about Dr. Rowley's honorary doctorate from Howard University. With many people, in some cases, well, many people were congratulating Dr. Rowley, as we did yesterday, on the honorary doctorate. Dr. Rowley had a doctorate before, just in case people didn't know. That he earned from UE's, I think it's St. Augustine campus, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, also it's in geology. So he has a PhD, and this is an honorary doctorate. And some people, on the other hand, were saying it should be revoked and given back. Or it could be Steve Ferguson. Somebody said it could be Steve Ferguson. I don't want to be definitive because I can't remember which one it is anyway. Because it's basically a quid pro quo. Because Dr. Rowley honored the president of Howard some years ago with the Order of Trinidad and Tobago.
That last year?
In the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, something like that. All right, let's grab this call here, Paul. Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
Morning, Derry.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, my dear. How are you this morning?
Oh, rise and shine, really?
You want to get back some money, girl? I hope they put it in your account.
Oh, gosh, that's why I'm so happy.
Yeah.
You want to get back some money.
You might see the light of day.
Well, do you think we'll actually get back the money, though?
I don't think so. Because
you know, the thing is, though, this big hullabaloo, and if the money, I mean, I know the court system in the U.S. is very thorough, and if the gentlemen have accounts in the U.S., they'll be given a timeline by which to give back the money. I think in some cases you could go into arrangements for payment over time, which is entirely up to the court and the government of Trinidad and Tobago. But sorry?
Do we what?
Do they have to appeal still?
No, that's the final judgment.
That amount too, yeah. That's
because the judgment, final judgment, when? This is the judgment of the amount.
Right. Can they appeal that amount now?
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
But I thought I read it, so they have 45 days to
file appeal?
Yes, I read
so they could appeal the amount now, because if you get to the point where the judgment about the amount, to my understanding, it's not usually that you could overturn this case again, and it's about the amount now. Maybe you could appeal the amount, but
what they could, the amount. I think it's the amount they can appeal now. But
okay, somebody tell me yes, they can. So okay.
Yeah, 45 days. I'm not checking it here.
Yeah.
So they can appeal.
So I said, okay, well, when I read that, I said, oh gosh, well, look at that again. Well, I thought we were going to get money, but now I don't see it. I wonder how much assets do they have? Assets, real thing, to kind of to offset that. I don't think we're getting that kind of money at all. I don't think so. Some of it might be about 1/3 of it, but not the billion. So, because that's supposed to be, every cent supposed to be there, but I don't see it happening. And
all year of little face.
No. Well, that is a reality. How many judgments come and we don't see the money, and we don't hear that?
True.
You don't hear about it, yeah.
But then there's a legal system that must be abided by. So I guess the gentleman will go through whatever legal options are available. If you could give a judgment, almost $1 billion, it means you might to pay lawyers, the best lawyers, and the lawyers will act in your interest.
The American courts are so different. Oh gosh, I wish everything was happening in the American courts. We wouldn't be in a position now like what we are in.
And then if everything happened in the American courts, we wouldn't be the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We'd be one of the United States of America.
But just for the judiciary part of it.
Well, just for the judiciary part? Okay, you're picking and choosing. Just for the judiciary part.
Pick and choose.
I don't think we'd be an independent country. Well, quite frankly, we have to go to Privy Council anyway for our final appeals decision. So you're right. In one way or the other, we ain't really making our final decisions anyway.
I'll say good morning to Wendell wherever he is. I want to speak about something, but tomorrow when Wendell is there. So I know you mentioned someone playing price of tickets, but I have a situation. In fact, I'm going to deal with it within the next hour, but I'll be discussing with you all tomorrow, please God, and you all think about what I'm going to say. Right? So you all have a good day.
You have a wonderful day. Please be safe.
Thank you.
Secure your home properly and look out when you're going out of your house because you don't know who are they waiting for you, unfortunately. You know, you don't know who around the corner. Sit down waiting to pounce on you, particularly women. These monsters we have walking around that nobody seems to be able to.
Some serious monsters.
You know? I saw a new meme going around from the commissioner of police yesterday. I think she called it the TPPS or something. So in a speech at the sport day, I just think Mrs. Hayward Christopher needs a lot of media training.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I think I sent it.
I think she needs a lot of media training. She's not the best orator. And some people just not gifted with the ability to communicate orally, effectively. And she maybe a great police officer, may have the experience, but she just is not. From what I've seen, she is not a great communicator verbally. Right? Thank you, Mike. The Air Alexander from April 13th sent the article. As projected by the government 2 weeks ago, the state has been awarded almost $1 billion. And this is in the Guardian by the Miami court, confirmed, now issued by the Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge Benbito Diaz. The defendants in the matter are businessmen Steve Ferguson and Brian Quaitung. So apologize, I called Ish Galbransing in error earlier on. It is not Mr. Galbransing. It is Brian Quaitung and Steve Ferguson. Right? U.S. businessman Raul Gutierrez Jr., who lost the case in March, will have to pay the U.S. $132,900 million. And they're appealing the matter. The state had alleged that Ferguson, Quaitung, and Gutierrez had conspired with others. I had to give you a real crop this morning because you was on a shoot about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this morning. You're up. You didn't sleep. Good morning, Ragobarsingh.
What, Ragu?
You sleepwalking?
Hey.
You sleepwalking?
As I look at you, I remember I have to go grocery. I have to pick up some bags.
A version of that.
You clearly are not a pilot, but we thank you for making the effort and being here because I was expecting to see you throughout this morning. Yes, so it is Mr. Quaitung and Mr. Ferguson.
Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Well, good morning.
Oh, geez, on ages. You sounding how Richard looking.
Richard, you're sounding like me. You get up here in that blanket, oh God. Jesus, it's leading.
The big one or the small one? Because last time I was there, I remember that big one that was by the bed foot and a small one that was on the bedside table. Which one you under? And you tried to throw one and remember to throw it off fast. You try to take a picture with one of them on me, and you know you're quick, but I have to throw it off quick and jump out.
You know, you could make a good storyteller, you know.
I am a good storyteller.
You know, something so convincing.
You're fine. Well, that's my job to be convincing.
Oh, Lord. Listen, I don't know. That money business in the court in Miami, it's so much money. I don't really have a right to try to appeal that because when they find it, that kind of money. But it's America you're dealing with. They don't joke with that.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen? The next thing, they might have to make a jail there for it. They might have to send for them. Oh, God. You see, you discussed something this morning, Paul. I think you should try to investigate a little more about that thing before you talk about it too much. You see that girl's pregnant story? It's something very suspicious. You see, it may not be whom he's talking about because who parent comes with into he. I saw
Mr. Padara on the TV talking about that and looking for answers. But then he's showing pictures, like I say, about two of them rubbing their belly. And the complexion of those girls is just who I talk about the last time that I see leaving the country and coming here and getting pregnant. And they must know why. So you see that story where he coming with it, I believe his own girls in the homes. I really waiting to see that, because you know they don't leave a story alone. I feel that is a red herring. I could be wrong, but I don't think that is true. And who mothers could complain to he, and if the mothers could go as far as to complain to he, why you don't come manage your children? If your child daughter underage, what she doing in her home, and then you so concerned that you complaining.
The child is in her home because she has some issues, or because the parents can't take care of her because of some extenuating circumstance?
I put in a big question mark to that, because the complexion of the belly I see they using as an example.
So, or you just, the complexion of the belly did a whole twist for you?
Yeah, because
you're really in the complexion. Your belly is the same complexion, if I remember correctly.
Because he's showing you rubbing. If you don't want to do that, just make the story and talk about it. But don't come and showing pictures. You haven't seen the faces, but the complexion of the belly.
So you make a whole determination because of the complexion of the belly?
Yeah.
Trouble is right here. You're an expert. They need to hire you in the police service. You could watch a belly and know who behind the belly, but just the complexion.
It tells a story, and the pundit don't know who rubbing. There's of one complexion and one ethnicity. Well, all right. Well, I saw pictures, so I believe that had to be the person, one of the persons they're talking about, one or two of them.
You're a complexion specialist?
Paul,
if I remember correctly, your belly is the same complexion, you know?
Paul, take that story with a pinch of salt.
No, you see, anyway.
And you know what? And you know the Earl Christopher story. Throw water on Dr. Rowley's honorary degree. Well, the amount of people get on bad with that, I understand, on Facebook. Well, Papa, you just can't tell they calling that Rowley, Dr. Rowley, to hand it back. Trinidad is not a real place, no? Something wrong with us here. People have too much hate in
I must expect that Dr. Rowley's accustomed to this kind of fear.
But if you live in a country, how much hate one set of people can have? It is too obvious, Paul, and it needs to be spoken about and dealt with. The nonsense has to stop. We have to coexist here.
Where's Strongy?
Well, I just want to trouble my brains.
Where's Strongy? For you have real time this morning. The boy was tobacco complexion and belly and
well,
have a good day, Zena.
Yeah.
God.
We have some calls.
Morning.
Yeah, morning.
Yeah, just a correction. I think that you mentioned that there were two personnel that had to pay the money. I think it's three persons. Gutierrez, Ferguson, and the next guy.
Gutierrez involved too. Well, he have U.S. money, so that might help.
Yeah, and also, I think the U.S. has reached in terms of it's not only assets in the U.S. but internationally too. So they have a timeline in which they have to go before the judge, file about a case.
So is the appeal that they potentially can file about the amount or about the whole case itself, the judgment itself?
That one I'm not. I know the Attorney General spoke about it yesterday. I don't want to say misquote what
Richard, normally if it gets to the point of awarding a judgment, isn't it that you're going past the actual determination of the case and you can't overturn the official judgment, but when you get to the amount being adjudicated upon, is at this stage, is it that they can appeal the amount or the whole thing?
They could file a stay, but I don't think it will have any change on the amount. The amount has already been set. But in case that they're filing in the appeal, they have to post, I think it's $2 billion in bond.
Oh, okay.
right? And either $1 billion or $2 billion. I know that was quoted yesterday in the statement from the Attorney General.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm not so sure of the U.S. system, but in a Trinidad and Tobago context, once you're appealing, you're appealing.
You could appeal the whole thing.
Yeah, because the conviction could be overturned on appeal,
Oh, okay. All right.
which would
I heard that.
nullify whatever charges. Now, if it's a civil matter,
It is a civil matter.
civil matters can be appealed too, and
Okay.
whatever judgment was given can be overturned, including damages, obviously. Because if an appeal, the Court of Appeal says, well, we disagree with the lower judge in terms of your culpability, then you don't have to pay the damages awarded.
Okay. Well, I guess the saga is not yet ended then.
Yeah. All of this with the proviso that the U.S. may have certain, anomalies in their system in comparison to.
Well, that's what you have trained lawyers for. All right, it's 14 minutes moving up to 7 o'clock. Do you have newspapers? Have you?
Yes, I do actually.
Well, of course, on your way home this morning, you could have picked up papers.
I certainly could have. So I'll start with the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Of course, today is Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. And the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, pressure on PSB cops. That's the main headline with the TNT Guardian. Pressure on PSB cops. Of course, that is Professional Standards Bureau officers. Officers in Brent Thomas fiasco say they are traumatized. Unit's morale also sinks amid scathing criticism. Social welfare boss urges public to tone it down. And the Police Social and Welfare Association's president acting is ASP Gideon Dixon.
And you want to tell the commissioner to tone it down a little bit too, but not don't say excellent.
Calm yourself. Oil spill cleanup. So apparently there was an oil spill of some sorts in Faizabad.
Your family was evacuated.
Yeah, and so Faizabad residents secure their belongings as Heritage Petroleum officials conduct a cleanup operations on their property following an oil spill. And subheadlines, there's one subheadline, CAISO wants more legal protection for LGBTQI. That's on the front page of The Guardian. On the back page, Skipper De Silva focuses on results. So that's it for the front and the back of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Moving on to the Daily Express. Families flee oil leak. That's the headline this morning that the Express went with. Heritage pipeline ruptures, sickening Faizabad residents. Families flee oil leak. And there's a picture, of course, of officers from Heritage Petroleum involved in cleanup operations. Piarco Airport final judgment. Faris goes after $1 billion. So if it's the final judgment, maybe, as I said, maybe it could be, let me hush. Let me just read the sub-headlines.
Just read the headline.
Yeah, Faris goes after $1 billion. And on the back page, India and his sights, lead selector Haynes, Seals could be back for test series. And TTFA looks for new women's coach. All of that is on the front and back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Daily Express this morning. And moving straight along to the Newsday, which is the last of our three dailies, on this Tuesday morning, May 16th, 2023. Final ruling against Ferguson and Quiet Tongue. Pay government $1 billion. That's the headline that the Newsday went with. Everybody has pictures of that cleanup operation by Heritage Petroleum in Faizabad, and the Newsday is no different. That's the main picture. Man shot dead, baby grazed by bullet. Baby is grazed by a bullet. On the back page, after winning Greek Super League title, Garcia eyes more success. Haynes back West Indies ODI squad after South Africa. And the main pick there, picture is, of course, Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics dribbling the ball during Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals of the 2023 NBA playoffs against the Philadelphia 76ers on Sunday. Celtics won 112-88, in case you did not know. And that's it for our 3 dailies this morning, coming out of the sunny island Republic.
Good morning, Ursa,
Yeah.
Lando, Herda, Carol, Slick Money Grip, Kazim, Sabisa, Marcia Rock, and Ray, all on YouTube and Facebook. Good morning to all of you on Facebook. We stream 6 to 8 every morning, Monday to Friday. Have a great day today, Tuesday.
Good morning to Dre out in Rio Claro, Ms. Maloney, Rampage, good morning, and Sankofa. All right, let me give you the results of our morning poll from yesterday, where we asked you, do you agree with the Commissioner of Police that her ratings for her first 100 days in office is excellent? 82%, 82 says no. All right, 82% said no. Let's get into this morning's poll.
So we were suggesting the poll this morning being, do you think Trinidad and Tobago will ever see the almost $1 billion awarded by the Miami court? Yes or no?
Simple question. 222-8255. North Americans. 866-525-1099. That number is directly into our studio. You can vote via YouTube or our message board at power102fm.com or give us a call. All right.
Do you think Trinidad and Tobago will actually recoup or see the almost $1 billion awarded by the Miami court in the airport civil case?
Do you think we're going to see that money? That's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, toll free to you, 866-525-1099. People in other parts of the world, 1-868-222-TALK, 222-8255. And of course, people on the web and app, you can send your votes via the messaging portal located on those platforms, and you can simply type yes or no to our poll this morning. And so our poll one more time, do you think that Trinidad and Tobago will ever see the $1 billion approximately awarded by the Miami court in the Piarco construction fiasco, whatever you want to call it?
All right. We do have a call already. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Only if America is overseeing that money.
Yes or no?
That's yes or no. Oh, Lord. Give us an answer like that goes into the yes or no column, please.
Thank you, Ricky Rich.
These kind of vague assessments is difficult to read.
Dennis says no, never. DJ Ray in Delaware says yes. Dre's in Rio Claro. I vote yes. Good morning to you, Trini, in Boston as well. Beauty Culture says yes. Got that. Thank you, Beauty Culture, watching us on YouTube. Yeah. All right. CJ out in New York says no. Have a great day. Thank you, CJ. Meb, yes to the poll. It's not a Trinidad court. Okay. Thank you, Meb. Good morning, caller.
Morning again. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Eartha Young says no. Slick Money Grip says yes. Huda Wells says yes. Lorna. Morning, Lorna. Morning, Kali. Morning. Special morning to Kali and Indy. Lorna says no way. Marval on the road says yes, they will be compelled. Josie Richardson, no to the poll. Morning caller. Oh, missed that one. Edwin Marshall is a sea man. He says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Enjoy the rain that will cool down the climate in a little while."
He's not voting on the poll.
No, not yet. Big Guy, morning, Big Guy. Yes. Carol Guevara. She loved our poll so much she did it twice. She said yes. Thank you, Carol.
So our poll this morning, in case you're now joining us, which is why are you now joining us?
Yeah, why? Why?
And our
What?
poll this morning is: do you think Trinidad and Tobago will see the light of day in the payment of $1 billion awarded by the Miami court? Let me say that properly. Do you think that Trinidad and Tobago will see the $1 billion awarded by the Miami court in that whole Piarco fiasco? Of course, it's $1 billion that has been awarded to the country. Do you think we will see it? That's our poll this morning. Simple and to the point. 222 talk, 222-8255, North Americans 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you know what to do. Come on.
Trini in Boston says, "Oh yes." Kenny out in Harlem says, "Yes." Mr. Carapo, not a cent of it. Not 1 cent. Thank you, Mr. Carapo. I read it like you typed it. Sherry. Oh, Sherry. No, I wouldn't sing. I'll make millions. Yes. Lunch Park. No. Oh, yes. Big Guy said no, sorry.
What you said, he said before.
I said yes, but it's no. I was reading Carol Guevara. My eye was jumping.
Wait.
Yes, and put a no. Ms. Maloney says yes. Edwin Marshall says yes. All right, you have 3 minutes again to vote on our poll. 3 minutes to vote on our poll. Of course, our poll will stay up until tomorrow morning when we give you the final results.
And our poll this morning, do you think Trinidad and Tobago will see the $1 billion awarded by the Miami court? That's our poll this morning. Of course, you can call us and give us your vote at 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, you can also call us toll-free at 866-525-1099. People in other parts of the planet, 1-868-222-TALK, 222-8255. And of course, people on the web and the app, wherever you are on the planet, you can send us your vote via the messaging portal located on those platforms.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, not even in a dream, no.
All right, thank you. Ingrid Adams. My answer is nope. Thank you, Ingrid Adams. Jennifer E. Are you related to Ken E? Jennifer says no. CJ from New York, changing my poll. She says yes. I'm sleepy this morning. So scratch off a no and put a yes there, Richie Rich. Miss Ingrid says absolutely not. No. Thank you, Miss Ingrid. All right. 222-8255. Toll free. North Americans. 866-525-1099. This are numbers directly into our studio. So give us a call.
And our poll this morning is: do you think Trinidad and Tobago will see the $1 billion awarded by the Miami court? That's our poll. You know you have an opinion, so we want to know what it is. Do you think Trinidad and Tobago will see the $1 billion awarded by the Miami court? That's our poll this morning.
Leonard Naipaul says no. Thank you, Leonard. Hope you're having a great one. Where are you? In North Carolina, I think. Is it? All right. Let's see. Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Where you messaging us from, Jennifer E? All right, send us a message via our portals at power102fm.com, our mobile app. Just should look for it. Just look for Power 102 FM Trinidad. Or on YouTube as we stream. Yep. Do you think we'll see a cent? Yes or no? All right. As we head up towards our 7 o'clock major news.
Yeah, our poll again as we are in our last minute or so. Do you think Trinidad and Tobago will see the $1 billion awarded by the Miami court? That's our poll this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still taking your votes at 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you know what you can do. Set your votes via the messaging portal on those platforms. Yes or no, and it will be duly recorded.
Yeah. Andre says nope. Thank you, Andre. Leonard said yes. North Carolina, Greenville, North Carolina. Born in TNT in Chicagowanus.
Was that vote a yes, or were you saying yes for North Carolina?
Andre said nope. That was the last vote you got.
No, you said something about yes, and you went into North Carolina.
No, I said Andre said nope, and then I went to North Carolina.
A little confused, so I don't know if I recorded that or not. I can't remember.
Oh, okay. All right, we have towards major news. Mm-hmm. All right, it's running behind time a little bit.
Which gives us extra voting time.
Yeah, she is.
I spoke too soon.
Yeah. All right. Evie, you ready? Let's get into our major news. Evie Hill Bab is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Government claims win in Piarco, Miami civil matter. Date revealed for the country's next local government elections. This country's energy security discussed at U.S. meeting between Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and former U.S. Senator Chris Dodd. And the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, has been targeted by further Russian air attacks. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. The government is claiming victory in the Piarco, Miami civil matter after a judgment went in its favor. Judge Riamberto Diaz delivered final judgment to Trinidad and Tobago of $131.3 million or near $1 billion TT dollars. Former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi made the disclosure while speaking during a news briefing on Monday. Minister Al-Rawi said interest will be $9 million per annum.
Of the judgment will be pursued by asking for particulars of assets, etc. The judgment is joint and several in liability, meaning you can pursue one person or all for the entire judgment sum. There is a right of appeal, not yet invoked. That right of appeal stands separate from enforcement proceedings. If you wish to stop enforcement proceedings as a defendant in the United States, you must place a bond for the entire sum of the judgment plus 2 years interest.
Steps are now being taken to enforce the judgment. There's a right of appeal which has not yet been invoked. On March 29, 2023, a six-person jury concluded with a verdict of guilt in respect of three defendants, who include former Finance Minister Steve Ferguson and businessman Ishwa Ragobarsingh. In 2004, the country started litigation against 52 persons and entities in this matter, which has been going on for 19 years. The criminal proceedings in the United States of America, which are still in existence, stand separate and apart, and any criminal proceedings is managed by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
In steps apart from that, the state is entitled to millions of dollars in legal fees, which the state is pursuing aggressively with its attorneys. That, in a nutshell, represents the decisions and the course of action. The appellate process can be anywhere between 12 months to 24 months. Everyone has their rights at law, and I make no determination in relation to what will be challenged or not challenged. I'm here simply reporting as to the process.
Minister Al-Arawi, who is now Minister of Local Government, also revealed that the date for the country's next local government elections will depend on a ruling by the Privy Council due next Thursday. Last November, in the High Court, Justice Jacqueline Wilson rejected legal action by social activist Ravi Balgobin Maharaj, challenging Al-Arawi's announcement earlier this month of a one-year extension to the term of regional corporations. On February 10th, at the Appeal Court, Justices of Appeal Prakash Musai, Gillian Lucky, and James Abood also rejected Balgobin Maharaj's cause. The Privy Council heard the case on March 15th and will deliver an ultimate ruling next Thursday. Extensive discussions were held on Monday between Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley with Special Presidential Advisor for the Americas, former U.S. Senator Chris Dodd, at the White House surrounding progressing Trinidad and Tobago's energy security and the potential effects of same on CARICOM and the wider Americas. Parties agreed to continue working together to secure energy stability for the region. Minister of Energy and Energy Industries and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister Stuart Young attended the meeting. Amos Hochstein, State Department Senior Advisor for Energy Security, Juan Gonzalez, Special Assistant to the President, and NSC Senior Director for the Western Hemisphere, and Eric Jacobson, Office of Vice President, were also present at the meeting. The Office of the Prime Minister said the meeting took place in Eisenhower Executive Office Building, Washington, D.C. Government is being asked to create an environment which will encourage citizens to move towards the use of private and commercial solar energy. Economist Indira Sajawan Ali suggested the government can also liaise with countries such as China and purchase a large amount of solar panels at an affordable rate. A sword-turning ceremony at Brechin Castle in April signaled the start of construction on Trinidad and Tobago's first utility-scale solar project. Speaking during an interview on the afternoon Power Drive program on Power 102 Digital on Monday, Mrs. Sajawan Ali cited the benefits which could be derived from a shift in focus to solar power. She made the comments in light of suggestions from the International Monetary Fund for this country to place more focus on diversifying the economy.
In my view, government should be negotiating with China, for example, to purchase solar panels, because we can't at this point be producing solar panels. It is ridiculous to even think. China is producing it really, really cheap. Create a program that allows us to be able to buy it at the kinds of volumes to bring the price down, give us an incentive as people, in the population to be able to convert our properties to using that. And to me, that would be the response of a responsible government that is meeting its commitment to climate change, as well as being caring and thinking about the population.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. The Ukrainian capital, Kiev, has been targeted by further Russian air attacks, described by one official as exceptional in density. Ukraine said all 18 missiles were shot down, and footage showed air defenses destroying targets over the city. But Russia said its attack, which used drones and missiles, had hit all its targets. Moscow has stepped up its air campaign in recent weeks ahead of an expected Ukrainian offensive. The air raid alert sounded at around 2:30 a.m. and was lifted 2 hours later in the 8th attack to hit the capital this month. An unusually high number of loud explosions was heard in the city center as authorities told residents in online messages that air defense had been activated. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, fair to partly cloudy and breezy at times with brief isolated showers. There is the low chance of the isolated afternoon heavy shower favoring, but not confined to, South Trinidad. Partly cloudy night with showers developing after midnight in a few areas. Please note there is a relatively mild concentration of Saharan dust present in the atmosphere. Persons who are sensitive to these conditions are being asked to exercise caution. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 30 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. Currently, it is 27 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, government claims win in Piarco, Miami civil matter. This country's energy security discussed at U.S. meeting between Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and former U.S. Senator Chris Dodd, and the Ukrainian capital Kiev has been targeted by further Russian air attacks. I'm Avril Sintilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. For more detailed stories, log on at 12 noon, and an update is coming your way at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, AV, for our major news. Of course, you're on AV again, coming up in less than 1 hour, 8 o'clock, for a news brief. All right. On this, the 16th day of May. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Power 102 Digital. This is a program called the Power Breakfast Show. Take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. You got some traffic as you head towards, westbound from Dabity to Arima Old Road. Coming out of Trinidad City, you've got traffic. Piarco towards Yui. Paji Road is heavy. And then from Valsain to Port of Spain, it is traffic. Eastern Main Road, usual spots. Tacarigua, Macoya, passing through St. Augustine, by Yui there. The Yui Tunnel is not too bad. After the Uriah Butler Highway, you've got some heavy traffic passing through Mount Hope, heading towards Mova Junction. Going up Lady Young Road from Coconut Drive towards the Lookout, you've got it. Lower Santa Cruz, Marval, out of Mocha, out of Mount Coco Road onto the side, you've got it. And Diego Martin, you got some traffic as you head towards Crystal Stream, all right? And Western Main Road and Kukrita a bit heavy as well. Take a look what's happening. Let's head down south, make our way up north, see what's going on. San Fernando routes lighter than usual. That's going to change in an hour. Rivulet Road is heavy, and you're going to get traffic pretty much from Chase Village to Chigaguanas. And of course, that Chigaguanas Main Road is a bit heavy. And then traffic again from Monroe Road heading northbound. Traffic again from Chigaguanas as you pass Chinchin Road heading northbound. All right, Kelly Village, out of St. Helena, you got some traffic there. All right, it is 13 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show. Paul Richards, Richard Ragobarsingh, we got Ruben in the mix. And my name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company until 9 o'clock this morning. Right, so while we wait for our guests to get in, let's get the results.
So our poll this morning was, do you think Trinidad and Tobago will see the $1 billion awarded by the Miami court? We had 28 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. Of the 28 people, 15 said yes, 13 said no.
Mixed.
It was a pretty competitive poll.
Yeah.
15 said yes, 13 said no. 28 people in all voted in the allotted time. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, throughout programming, and we'll give you the final result tomorrow morning, which will be Wednesday, midweek.
Yeah,
I think part of the reason for the balance poll is because it's the American system and not the Trinidad and Tobago system, quite frankly. I think it's happening in the American system, so they have more faith in the American system. It was a Trinidad court that said, nah,
Nah, you ain't getting it.
unfortunately. There's less confidence in the Trinidad and Tobago judicial system about particularly these types of matters, but we'll see how it goes. In any case, that's the fact that people are like, but as someone said, it really involves three people, one of the callers earlier on, including Mr. Gutierrez, who have a big US account too. So I guess they could start with him. 19 years and counting. At least they're awarded interest. At least they awarded interest in it, you know. So we ain't gonna lose all the money.
How much millions in US was it that was awarded?
Is it 131 million?
Okay.
0.3 million, something like that. You know? I don't know. Well, we'll see. We will just see. It is mind-boggling to me, the kind of money that this country has seeded from corruption and alleged corruption. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be standing by to be joined by Clive Dutton. Is it Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Dutton. I think he was a past commissioner with the Police Service Commission, so we want to get a sense from him as to the usual criteria used for assessing the performance of a commissioner and deputy commissioners, because that's what the Police Service Commission is charged with the responsibility of doing. So when Mrs. Christopher says she gives herself an excellent rating, there must be metrics by which that is assessed. You can't feel you just give yourself that. And I saw many people commenting online that maybe Mrs. Christopher, and I think Wendell alluded to this yesterday, was in some way joking. But I don't know if she's supposed to be joking about that kind of thing in an environment like this. Particularly the police commission. The police commissioner can't think that she could talk as a private citizen anymore. Cannot. Everything you say is going to be scrutinized in the context of crime and crime fighting and law enforcement. You understand? You can't be talking off the cuff and not thinking people are not going to pick it up and dissect it. You know? So you got to know what you're about, Mrs. Here with Christopher. Particularly when you give yourself a June deadline for increasing police performance and lowering crime. Good morning, Dr. Pastor Dutton.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Pretty all right. Pretty all right.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Hey, looking so sparky this morning. You getting somebody billion coming from Piarco, okay, sir?
Yeah, behave. Good morning, Pastor Dutton.
Like some of that airport money is for you. It's a return to you, or what?
Ooh.
But you're a citizen, you know, so, I mean, if the money is returned, partly it's to us, not so? But it's for us, for our use. Or for use on our behalf. Let me put it that way.
I see. You're educating me. Yes.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, my privilege.
You are a past commissioner on the Police Service Commission.
Exactly.
We have a conversation that's ensued since Saturday about Mrs. Harewood Christopher's performance. She gave herself an excellent rating. I don't know if you're serious or not, but we have to take her at her word. They asked her a question in the media, and she responded excellent. What is, in your time, what were the criteria, the main points of criteria for judging the performance of a commissioner and deputy commissioners?
Okay. And I think Dr. Rai was the one who set up a lot of the parameters along with Jackie Cheeseman, who was a worker at the Royal Bank at the time. She was a human resource specialist. So in my time, I just want to go over this. 2006 to 2009, we didn't have an assigned HR specialist to work with the committee. So since Jackie Cheeseman was HR, for Royal Bank, she gave her services as a member of the Police Service Commission. So the criteria used, number one was crime reduction. In other words, did the Police Service Commission perceive, and I have to go back because in an interview at your station yesterday, I had to go back. We had visits during my tenure from Martin Joseph, okay, and we discussed the broad parameters of the fight against crime and police work and training and what have you with him. And he was a very detailed minister, I must tell you. Very detailed, and as I recall, very respectful. And then we had meetings with guys like James Filbert, who was the acting commissioner. And if you recall very well, when we had asked for a report from the commissioner, that stimulated quite a lot of discussion. And the question that you are bringing now to me, Paul, on the team, played a very significant role, because Mr. Manning did not feel that we should ask for a report from the acting commissioner. And there's a very, significant story that Mr. Christopher Thomas, Ambassador Christopher Thomas, who was a chairperson, related to me, that he said a government minister found me doing laser beam surgery in Florida for my eyes. And Christopher Thomas, I have no reason to lie, told me that Manning told him, it is high time you control Dottin. All right, what are you doing about Dottin? It just tells you the overreach of politicians in some of these institutions that other politicians now want to destroy. All right, so I want to mention that one thing, so that if there were a number of categories you looked at. One was training and development. All right, the training goals, all right, of that is one, training and development. Two was the issue of promotion. All right, that was critical. Three was the ability, all right, or what happened in terms of the management of crime. Four was the recruitment process. Five was the analysis of the police. Well, I mentioned police training, but especially what happened at St. James Barracks. Number six was the community perception of crime. Now, that last one was a very sensitive issue, in the sense that we didn't do, in the 3 years that I was there, we visited several police stations. We visited in Tobago, we visited the 2nd Division office, we visited the station in San Fernando, we visited the station in Mova. So, but that was more qualitative, you understand where I'm going from. We went and we interviewed police officers, all right? So that we did our own fact finding. In terms of scientific polling, all right, of the effectiveness of the police service, we didn't do any scientific polling, but we depended on the polls that focused on the efficacy of the police service in the country. If you remember well, there was Saran, Henry, Ryan, all of these did national polls, and the polls would have a subsection that dealt with the issue of police performance. So what we did actually was pull from those scientific polls, compared with what we were finding out in our own visitations, because we had 1 or 2 town meetings also, if I recall correctly. We would compare them and then put the results to people like Mr. Filbert, all right, and ask him to respond. So that was how we actually did the evaluation of the police service. Of course, towards the end of our tenure, and now I still get police reports. Administrative police reports is a very thick, glossy, colorful document that is sent to us. And in that document, you see the crime figures, you see major crimes, minor crimes, you see the murder rate. And I suppose the present Police Service Commission, in spite of the Blitzy Prasad fiasco, would look at these things and hopefully relate to those who are serving us in that office now.
But the commissioner, him or herself, do you think, remember reverse engineer, but do you think it's fair? Because they're trying to be fair to both sides, to ask or request of somebody who is in office October, November, January, February, March, April, May, 6 to 7 months about their performance so far? Is that enough time for somebody to settle into that position of Commissioner of Police and make a significant impact?
I was wondering if that wasn't a question better directed to her, if you wanted to ask her, because part of the reason for that is the public is asking her. So I you folks in the media, you deal with the publics or the different publics we have.
But the public can ask, but I mean, you have assessed commissioners of police and deputy commissioner of police performance, so you have a clear understanding of what goes into doing that job and how fast strategies, policies, and operationalization of those strategies can have an impact, particularly in the major areas of concern.
Well, what I think happened there, I was in church that day, of course, Saturday, but I saw a very festive atmosphere. I saw a police commissioner on the move, and I see the media trying to catch up with her. And I think, what she did was to sting the media reporter, sting or stun him, because she didn't look too serious to me, to be honest with you. And it's like she was telling him, but why you asked me that question now? And in fact, she also alluded to that. We're in a sporting atmosphere, and he asked me this very serious question now. So I think she was caught off guard, and she responded quite spontaneously by telling him, well, excellent. You know what I mean? Whether
but even if she was in a festive mood, Pastor Johnson, she's the commissioner of police, so she must know by this point that anything you say will be dissected by the media and by extension the public. This is a very frightening time for Trinidad and Tobago.
Of course, it
very
is.
frightening time. We are under siege from criminals, home invasions, rapes, assaults, all sorts of crimes. So an off-the-cuff, jovial response to a question about your performance as commissioner leading the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, which is the tip of the hour in fighting crime. I don't know if anybody is going to take that as a jovial response.
Well, some of your colleagues, I've listened to different media houses, and they see that way, although they have clarified their analysis of a response by stating they don't have any factual evidence to suggest that it was jovial or sarcastic, so they have to take her at her word. So people are taking her at her word, and most people, rubbish her response, to be honest with you, because I'm saying why I agree with you that it's a bit early to assess her. The level to which crime has escalated should prompt her to expect that kind of question, especially from the media. Because people have, I know of cases, I know of a home invasion that involves $600,000, and the family doesn't want it to come on the air simply because, and I'll tell you why. Because the police are being accused in that community of supporting this career assassin / thief, bandit, and therefore they are scared for their life. Now, this situation arose after a double murder, and the family believed that the one who orchestrated with the same type of gun that the 17-year-old has found, which we should discuss this morning, the AR-15, all right, is the same guy who orchestrated the robbery. So he's after the family because the reason for the killing in the first place involved a vehicle that is worth $700,000 that came from the States and brought by one of the victims, was a husband and wife team. So you have a very dangerous, I almost want to say Paul and Steve and the rest, and Richard, I almost want to say what you have coming up here is almost a pre-Haiti situation. And I mentioned Haiti because of somebody sending a message to me yesterday. What is happening in Haiti, and I have done my homework on it, is that the gangs have been attacked by what is being called the vigilante squads in the various communities. And the latest approach to the gangs has been communities coming out with their own weapons, tying up these fellas and burning them. That is where Haiti has reached. It's out of control. And I want to say, Paul, in Trinidad, we have a way, we said it before 1990, this guy happened here, and then 1990 happened. And I want to warn all of us and the leaders who look at this program, and I believe many of them do look at this program, Never underestimate a population. They may appear to be quiet as lambs and docile as sheep, but never underestimate a population. There will come a time when the country will say enough is enough, and you may have some radical things happening.
You think are you suggesting we're at some sort of tipping point that could be similar to 1990? That's a very strong statement.
Well, I am saying, I don't know if it will happen like 1990, but I am saying my opinion is, and this is my opinion is, as I listen to the ground, is a criminologist sent a message to me yesterday. He said, Pastor, something huge is about to happen in the country. And he's not the only one. I have a member, a very good friend who in the Freemasonic Lodge. He's a top attorney too. And he said, Pastor, prepare yourself. We may have to set up a committee after the debacle happens. You see, what I'm saying is, these things are coming from the minds of professionals who are watching the situation and saying, if the government doesn't do something, the people will eventually do something. And that's the history of mankind. We can't get away from it. That's the history of mankind. I am concerned about the country. I'm concerned.
1990 was a radical insurrectionist attack on Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
And you are suggesting that we may be at some sort of point similar to that persons inside the country, or maybe assisted by outsiders, that are suggesting that are at the point where they are capable of destabilizing the country to the point that we saw an insurrectionist attempted coup to overthrow a legitimately appointed government?
Well, I am saying, the point I was making to you, Paul, was we never expected 1990 to happen, and it happened. Okay, I remember seeing a lot of editorials. We lost our virginity, we lost our innocence, etc., etc. I'm not saying another 1990 will take place, but I am saying if the powers of the state prove to be impotent, all right, people will arise and seek to take the law in their own hands. And I'll tell you what I mean. If you have situations where police officers are known associates, all right, of criminal elements, you could find a situation where community members are obsessed. They may start off by protesting, and many of them are doing that now. They're having their marches, they're having their walks, etc., etc. But most people feel those things don't accomplish anything. So I am saying the population is between two, all right, modalities. One is we expect and we hope and we are positive about the government doing something meaningful about crime, or the other extreme where they say we better do something about crime. And I'm just telling you my reading of the population. They are between these two possibilities. One is hopefully the government will come up with something, that is meaningful in terms of solving the crime problem, increasing the detection rate, reducing the murders, reducing the major crimes, or, all right, now the or also includes the brain drain. Because I understand a lot of people are leaving the country. I am interviewed on a certain station on a weekly basis, and the journalist is telling me I am packing up, I'm getting ready to go. And she said that publicly, on Synergy. She said that publicly. So you have people are viewing their options and whether she should stay in the country or not stay. And those who cannot leave are the ones who will come up with a decision in terms of what will be the response. Now, I heard a former commissioner say, you must set up a jail in your house. He said that. Now, when I hear a former police officer saying that, he said, there's a room in your house you must set up like a prison that nobody cannot get to you. Now, imagine a former police officer. I mean, Paul and Richard and the rest, Steve, this is as extreme as you could take it. But that was his solution to the crime. All right?
But I think that's called a panic room. And it's a feature of some construction things, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, even in the US.
But it's a drastic move, Richard, for anybody who was part of the police, able to say it gets so bad to set up a panic room in your house.
Well, he could say whatever he wants, but what I'm saying, the notion of a panic room is not something that's unheard of.
No, it's not unheard of. But it's a drastic move, though.
It's not a move. It's just a suggestion from one person. How is that a
Yeah,
movement?
Well, the thing is, I must suggest to you guys that when a former officer picks that, does some cherry picking, and he picks that as a possibility of solving crime, then we have reached where we were never supposed to reach.
Well, when it comes to, the TTPS and former members of that troubled institution, I don't know that that should be the barometer of how the society sees solving the problem. Since there have been problems within that unit that has created partly the problem.
Of course. But I want to say he's not without support on that, because I believe some people are already, creating their own panic rooms in their homes. I mean, as part of the measure to counter home invasion. Because a home invasion has to be a terrible, you put yourself in the shoes of those who have experienced it. I am talking about a case in Maruga, all right? And when they explained to me what happened there, I mean, it's amazing. People even survive a home invasion psychologically. Yeah? The trauma on them remains with them for the rest of their lives. What I find the government is very weak on is on the issue of the assessment of the traumatic impact, the impact of the traumatic experience on the citizens, not just in the short term, but in the long term. And this is what those who could afford it, that's why they're thinking of relocating and going to another country. I think that in terms of grief care and therapy and the impact nationally on our population and on victims, I think we are relatively very weak. Even the victim support unit, you might have heard of a complaint being made against them recently. But even they are challenged by just the raw quantity of the bad experiences taking place. I don't want to defend the police here, but when they refuse to deal with family cases and domestic violence, all right, I tell people they're so, saturated with murder cases and wounding and what have you. They don't even have time to think, so they tell you, a family matter, all you settle that. The amount of families have told me, and genuine cases, all right, where they're near death experiences, there's extreme violence and abuse in the home, especially gender-based violence. I have to tell people, those folks are so busy and obsessed with solving murder rate and getting the detection rate improved that they don't have time for us. At a family
What do you think is responsible for the shift now? Because if, from what we're seeing, I don't have the statistical support to bolster it, but we are hearing more reports of home invasions. Let me put it that way. You're hearing a lot of reports of, is that people are reporting more or it's happening more, right? The police have not come out and said statistically there's an increase. I wish they would, or I wish they would debunk it if that's not the case, because it may be a reporting issue. But we're seeing some horrible home invasions on a weekly basis now. As you said, some reported, some unreported. If that is so, it seems there has been a shift in the criminal MO to get money or to get access to money, as opposed to just gangs fighting for drug turf and gun turf in Trinidad and Tobago. If that is so, what do you think is responsible for that? Is there a shift in criminality in the criminal MO in the country?
I think so. Not. Okay. I want to take your mind back to the kidnapping that took place when you had the increase in kidnapping. There's a murder that should inform you, Paul, and the rest, involving Ria Sukdio's brother, who was just killed. All right, she was kidnapped. I spoke to a senior police officer, and he felt it involved some folks from the mainland, South American mainland, that were involved. But I want to focus on that case. When kidnapping started, all right, apart from the rumors about Dole Shady's survivors and gang members involved, I want to share this with you. There was a case of a home invasion last week. The people are connected to me, all right, via church. It was in South Trinidad. Apparently the girl, who is a doctor, went to the bank, all right, in Tanapuna and was followed from Tanapuna right down into central Trinidad. Now, bear that in mind. As she opened her gate, the guys tried to come in, and there were some dogs that created a whole stir, and therefore that interrupted the play. Let me go to deeper south, southeast Trinidad, where there was a case involving hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I will show you what, in the first instance, the bank workers stand accused, as a Tanapuna situation. The bank workers stand accused because clearly they knew that that worker, that person had gone, that doctor went to a bank and withdrew money. All right, there's no two ways about that. Somebody knew that, whether it was an observer, whether it was a spectator, whether there was a car parked up outside. All right, somebody knew that. So that I know there are a lot of videos on TikTok and what have you. There, the most powerful being the woman from Tobago with a pretty heavy size, who said the guy didn't know who she was tackling, and she has come out straight and said bank tellers are selling information, because as she left the bank, all right, there are at least 3 videos, all right, on social media that are making that claim. I have a bank worker who has told me that that is definitely taking place with the banks, all right. She has told me that. Of course, I have to protect her identity, etc., etc. So that is number one. Number two, in terms of where the gangs are with the drug dealing, a lot of people owe a lot of people money. All right, I want to mention that, so that some of the homes that are being targeted, all right, are being specifically targeted because the people feel they have to deal with something involving their debt, all right, either a relative of someone who owes them, or they're sending a message to the real people, so that sometimes the people are being robbed are not the people involved, but they're the relatives or closer business associates of people who are involved. Number three, we come back to the same poverty thing. I mean, although there's a talk about full employment, the reason is, Paul, in an ideal society, I as a Christian should be able to go 10 days, 12 days without eating and not commit a crime. But everybody is not like that. And I want to emphasize that. Everybody is not like that. I don't feel we should justify any form of crime, however, but you have miscreants, and then you have the other thing where there is the issue of gang members and turf wars, and that cannot be left out of the discussion. I want to tell you something, Paul. The the turfs are shrinking because what you have is an increase in gang leaders and guys who are being recruited. The 17-year-old AR-15 holder of that weapon, I mean, should be able to indicate to us that a lot of that is happening. I know for a fact that a lot of that is happening. Paul, there are principals who are scared to come out and say they found weapons in their school. They're intimidated, all right? There are teachers who are saying, telling principals, the day you tell the police about what has happened in the school, we are leaving the school. I have had a teacher come to me, all right? Well, I went to the school, and she told me that she attempted to discipline a child, and the next thing you know, the drug lord in the committee tell her, the next time you try to discipline that child, I will deal with you. The teacher told me that, and she said, Pastor, I am not going to any police station and tell them a word of what is taking place. No, I went to that school, and we had some dialogue, and since that time, as far as I recognize, putting myself at risk, if you please, nothing has happened since that time, and the teacher is still in that school. But I want to show you something. There are several factors that are responsible for this situation. And the other thing is this. People feel that the state is no longer the bandit element in the society, think they could advantage the rulers, that the rulers are clueless, that they don't have the will to deal with them, and they're dependent on the passing of a bill and government attacking opposition and opposition attacking government, and everybody shifting the blame to each other. They feel that is puerile, that cannot help the situation. The bandits are telling themselves that they are winning the battle and they could do what they want, when they want, wherever they want, and they will not be punished except every now and then you have a police killing. They
So,
feel
so
that,
the criminals, are you saying the criminals and separately the people have lost faith in the system
yes, I'm saying that. I am
and
saying that.
creating their own systems,
Of
in
course.
many cases illegal
Yeah, but how
systems?
do we change that? Because that's not sustainable.
So you said something, Richard. Let me hear that again.
No, I'm saying, how do we begin to change that, or how do we change that? In terms of assuming that you had the direct ear of Dr. Rowley, what would you say to him in terms of changing that trajectory that you think is happening on the ground? Because that trajectory being allowed to happen is not sustainable.
Right. Well, I would tell you that I have sent a message to him via social media, whether he read it or not. But I got some reactions from people inside his cabinet team. I am saying that at this point in time, you have to do something. I have told him you either run a curfew or you declare a state of emergency immediately while you get your house in order, because I believe the National Security Council must do more and realize we're in a crisis. Whether it means, I see Tobago is saying, let the army come and help them and go to every community. And I chuckle because when they said that, I said, but what about Trinidad? You have these sporadic joint army police patrols, but this has got to become a more consistent thing, all right? So that I am saying, even while Tobago is thinking of doing that, Trinidad should be doing that on a more consistent basis. The other thing is this, I must tell you, one of the reasons for the loss of of confidence in the police service is the issue of corruption. All right. I don't know if we are doing enough to deal with that element because, for example, in folks are telling me in central Trinidad, and I mean people who are in the know. I was involved in a crime rally in a certain place in central, and an ex-prisoner came to me. He's now a pastor. He said, Pastor, corruption in that service is what is hurting the fight against crime. So that we have got to engage the police service commission, the police complaints authority, the cabinet, the opposition, everybody in this. This is nothing that one group or one element in the system, one cog in the wheel could deal with. But over and over and over, you're hearing that. Now, I should tell you this. 2 weeks ago, I was in Tobago, and I had a discussion with a police officer because I was concerned about the spread of crime, in Tobago, and it's violent crime, armed weapon crime. And she just told me, so I tell you what she told me, and she's the second police to tell me that in the last month. She said, well, why all you pay the police better? All you're making the police vulnerable to temptation. She actually, this female police officer who is a Christian actually told me that. Now, whether she believes that or not, as you say, I have to take her at her word. But the point is, people are desperately seeking to find solutions for all what is going on here. And I believe that it's not that we don't know what is to be done. I think this is my pet point, all right, that people feel the state does not have the will, all right, the machinery to deal with crime. I have said before, and the first change must be a change in attitude towards crime. I have said before, we really don't want to destroy crime. What we want to do is reduce the murder rate. Now, that is it's going to be a weird analysis, but I feel that way. And I'll tell you why I feel that way. When the IADB could say, all right, that Trinidad is dependent economically upon the underground trade, including narco and underground gambling and thing, it tells you why. Because they are saying that the national budget is equivalent to the underground income, all right, the money generated by the underground economy. So they are actually saying, and I was in Cocorit, and one of the guys in that hotspot told me, Pastor, we have no fear, some of us will die, but the point is, the country depends upon some of what we do. And that is the perception the young people have. They have that perception about senior elements in the society. So we have got to change that. And how we change that? By making sure we appear and we convince people that we are serious and we have no preferences for who we lock up and who we ain't lock up. And whether you're giving my party finance or not, I will cut and say I am not no longer accepting any money from you whatsoever. You see, the leaders in the society are part of the problem is that they engage with the protected underground element. You know that is the
Well,
honest
but
truth.
that was a question I was coming to, whether it is a leadership issue, is it a resource issue, is it a policy or legislative issue? What is the major issue that you see in terms of changing that whole culture?
Let me deal with the low-hanging fruit first, the policy and legislative issues. I'm saying that would account for about 10%. All right? I think leadership is important. I mean, I told the Prime Minister, you can't go to play golf that last weekend. You can't leave the country at this point in time. People are crying, people are bawling. I told the Prime Minister, do not leave the country. When he left and nothing really happened, you know what I mean? Apart from murders increasing all the time. So that I don't know who is listening to who in the society. I just don't know. That is a problem, and the criminals are right to think they're winning because.
So after that, look at the last 20 years.
Yeah.
From Mr. Manning to Mr. Pandey to back to Mr. Manning, Mrs. Prasad's successor, and now Dr. Rowley. And if you look at the graph, there's a steady increase in crime. There's some plateaus and there's increase in crime again. You understand? So no matter who's the Prime Minister, no matter what party the Prime Minister is leading, whether they increase the national security budget, whether they change the commissioner of police, whether the Prime Minister go and play golf, go to football matches, or chill out, the crime is increasing. Is it that we are, as a country, because of our geographical location, because of how endemic the drug runners have become in the so-called legitimate economy, incapable of reversing this trend in our own in this country? Because if you look at the trends, and you would know the trends, in the last 20 years, since 2008 all the way up, there is a consistent increase in the trends. We like to look at the yearly murder rate, but look at the cumulative murder rate. Some is 365, some is 400. Yes, a reduction of 100 is important. Last year was 605.
Yes.
The year before was 500 and something, and we shouting to heaven, oh my God, I reduced it by 100, but 100 from 605 is 505. That's nothing to shout about. You understand? We save 100 lives possibly. And it doesn't seem to matter who is the Prime Minister, which party is in power, who is the Commissioner of Police. On a larger scale, we seem to just be continuously slipping into the dark abyss.
Because, Paul, we are continuously making the same blunders. Why should a Prime Minister be tasked with picking a police commissioner? And I raise that as a vital issue. I mean, I told, when I was, you know, we have a project, and we hope it becomes we just got a murder there in Kelly Village, right? We have a project where we have about 15 stakeholders coming together, and I have been invited to participate with them. But I told Andrew Ellie, but you are senior superintendent, and I hope that you become commissioner one day. Now, I didn't say that tongue in cheek, because I feel from all now, when a guy has reached that level, we should start to groom guys and give them the capacity building that is required, calling people like yourself and others, all right, to treat with them in an advanced training program. I felt when I was in the Police Service Commission that the police leadership didn't take too kindly when you told them you have to revamp your training program. I felt that was a real challenge for them to accept.
They don't seem to like you to tell them anything.
Yes, well, you see, there we go.
They don't seem to think that anybody who is not of the rank and file of the police service should be advising them on anything, because or you're in the police or you don't know nothing about police and law enforcement. But it's not only about law enforcement, about social change. It's about how can the police service be a part of the social change needed, because law enforcement is partly preventative, and a large part of the preventative measure is how society intervenes before youth are exposed to and become part of the criminal element.
Well, you go to one of my pet solutions, if it could be called a solution. I have told folks, if I had to deal with anything, now, the police should club as an institution is a good thing, except for the fact that a lot of police officers still feel like soft policing. They ain't cutting it. Because you see, people want results now. You understand? They don't think about the midterm and the long term. So I think we have to change that perception. But I'm saying that there are groups in the country that could do with some more resources. And Richard asked with resources. I would say resources, yes, but resources at the prevention level. And that is your police, your clubs, your Boy Scouts, your groups like Serval, the Catholic Church doing an outstanding job over the years, the Adventists with the Pathfinders. I am saying cut the bureaucracy and get some funds for that group and tell them, listen, I want you you have to decentralize MILAT and MIPAD that I think are used for the institutions. At the prevention level, there, DARE, that's another police initiative that we have
But
tried to
part of the
here.
prevention, Pastor Dutton, is,
Yeah.
and those programs are fantastic because I've interfaced with people who run those programs. When you have 2,500 children dropping out between primary and particularly secondary school on an annual basis for the last 15 to 20 years, and those who drop out, and then you have another 3,000 who barely score 30%. The impact on that on society in terms of those people's ability to function productively in society and not become vulnerable to gangs and criminality is immense. And as a society, we don't seem to be focused on that. It's like we accept, well, either them, quote unquote, as we used to say long time, duncy, they're lazy, they're stupid, or they just want to get into crime. And we don't seem to understand we have to accept the responsibility in part for their failings, because society is failing them when 2,500 don't make it to Form 5. And of those who make it to Form 5, about 15 to 20% can't read or can't function in a job space.
Right. But okay, let me. I think I have about 3 minutes more with you all. If I'm watching the
We'll
clock.
give you 5.
All right. Okay. So let me rush into something. I was at the bank recently, and a senior gynecologist saw me and came across and spoke to me. And he said, Pastor, let me tell you something. One of your major problems in the fight against crime, nobody wants to touch. I said, what is that? He says statutory rape. And just yesterday, I was asked to intervene in a case where a mother is allowing statutory rape in a home with 2 members of the family. That, to my mind, is a fruit that we don't want to pick. We don't seem to have the will to deal with it. And part of the reason is that sometimes a statutory rapist is a gangster of high repute and has money to share around to families and to single mothers. Okay? I'm saying that issues like that must be addressed and have got to be addressed, all right, if we are to make a dent in this issue of criminality. Because when the guy grows up and understands his history, let me tell you something. Well, I have cases right now, one of them coming to me shortly, where in one family, grandparents, parents, grandchild, all of them, look at what's happening in Temple Street now, all right, as the chickens come home to roost or be shot, you know what I mean? Look at what is happening there. It should give us a great example of what is going on. We cannot give up. We cannot lose hope. But clearly, there are things we know that must be done that we are refusing to do. And our present crop of leaders don't seem to have the will to inspire confidence to get the job done.
Pastor, thank you for being with us. We
God bless
appreciate
you.
it.
God bless you.
Be
God
safe
bless
out there.
you. Yes, sure. God bless you.
That's Pastor
All right,
Dutton.
Pastor Clive
Clive
Dutton.
Dutton.
Thank you.
God bless you.
So just before you run,
Yes.
when should we really assess the commissioner? What is a reasonable time to assess her performance that we can expect some significant changes?
Well, you see, one reason why she should expect us sooner or later, but more sooner than later, is because
A year is a year reasonable?
I would say a year is reasonable. But I should tell you that there may be circumstances where you may have to evaluate her before that time, and she should understand that.
Well,
All
she
right?
put a end of June timeline on herself, so we'll see. Thank you so
Well, I
much.
feel we could evaluate at the end of June. She said that.
Well,
She
she's
set up
the
a
one who said that, so
right. I say
All right.
end of June, not bad.
well, that'll be 6 months or so. So yeah.
Right.
A media report.
A media report. Okay. God bless.
Thank you, Pastor Dutton.
All right. Thank you. All the best to you and be safe. All right. It is exactly 8 o'clock on this, the 16th day of May. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get into our news brief. Evie is in.
Is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Crime is nothing that one cog in the wheel can deal with, so says former Police Service Commission member Pastor Clive Doughton. He made the comment while speaking on Power 102 Digital's Power Breakfast show this morning. Pastor Doughton said there is too much focus on reducing the murder rate rather than an overall reduction in crime. He pointed out that murders will not be reduced unless there is an entire change in the public's attitude to crime and its perceived benefits. He claimed that the income from crime is the same as the country's national budget. Pastor Doughton suggested that legislative changes can only address 10% of the crime in the country. The Police and Social Welfare Association, in a statement on Monday, complained about police officers being used as political football, citing a recent unnamed court case and apparent allusion to the controversial extraction of firearms supplier Brent Thomas from Barbados to Trinidad and Tobago by a trio of senior police officers. Reports this morning state that the 4 members of the TNT Police Service Professional Standards Bureau who handled the Brent Thomas case last October have been so traumatized by the public criticism they've received since a recent judgment in his favor that they are now receiving counseling. Their colleagues are also said to be similarly affected, resulting in a significant drop in morale within the unit. The government is claiming victory in the Piarco Miami civil matter after a judgment went in its favor. Judge Riamberto Diaz delivered final judgment to Trinidad and Tobago of $131.3 million or near 1 billion TT dollars. Former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi made the disclosure while speaking during a news briefing on Monday. Minister Al-Rawi said interest will be $9 million per annum. Minister Al-Rawi, who is now Minister of Local Government, also revealed that the date of the country's next local government elections will depend on a ruling by the Privy Council due next Thursday. Last November in the High Court, Justice Jacqueline Wilson rejected legal action by social activist Ravi Balgobin Maharaj, challenging Al-Rawi's announcement earlier that month of a 1-year extension to the term of regional corporations. On February 10th, in the appeal court, Justices of Appeal Prakash Musai, Gillian Lucky, and James Abood also rejected Balgobin Maharaj's cause. The Privy Council heard the case on March 15th and will deliver an ultimate ruling next Thursday. Anxieties are heightening in the region about the shocking levels of violence and political inability of Haiti, with Jamaica and the United Nations amplifying calls for action now from countries that have the resources to intervene.